Damn. Yeah.
The man of the hour, and I say that because, a lot of times a fighter will win a fight or have an incredible performance, and everyone is focused on what they saw in the ring and doesn't give quite the credit or thought to what's happened outside the ring to produce what they saw in the ring. So from your perspective, from that corner position, from your position in the gym for months before this fight took place, what were you doing outside the ring that produced the kind of Tyson Fury I don't think any of us had ever seen the likes of before in the ring?
He's in a good place, and a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter. Obviously, we've done 12 months of work, ranging from weight loss work, strength work, conditioning work, and obviously boxing work and the technical work. And more so importantly, we've done a lot of work on the mental and emotional side of things. And I've put 12 months of my life into Tyson. And I'm just pleased that it showed out in the performance, but very disappointed that we didn't get the right decision.
12 months is not a training camp. 12 months is a changing camp. You had to undergo what can be no less than a life effort, like to make a guy do something in his life that most people didn't think he was capable of after the fall he took. What made you think that you were the guy to take on this auspicious challenge?
I didn't approach Tyson. Tyson approached me, and I told him what we needed. I knew what he needed, and we gelled. That's the most important thing. We gelled. It's been a very tough but enjoyable journey, and it's been one made for the movies, that's for sure.
Trying to get your script written now?
Yeah, and I think I'll have to. If Denzel Washington's playing Tyson, you'll have to play me.
Oh, there we go. Listen, man, there's more to this story, obviously, even than what's been in the press, because to spend 12 months with another man on a single mission, you guys have had quite a few heart-to-heart moments, moments that only you and he know about. But for the sake of letting the public at least get a peek of what you went through, how did your life have to change and adjust, and the sacrifices that you had to make to get to this moment?
Of course, I had fighters back at home. I had a gym, business, family, home. I've had to let all that go for 12 months. I moved in with Tyson, made a commitment, he made a commitment. We had to put our trust in each other that I could give him the level of what he needed, and that I needed to put my trust into him that he would stick with it. And we've both done that. And like I say, it's paid off with that performance last night. It's just a shame that, I don't feel like we had our justice.
You don't feel like you got justice on the scorecards, but it's, I think, the people's voice that has at least given you the kind of justice that every fighter desires when he calls himself the people's champion, right? Like right now, at least from what I'm reading and the reaction I'm seeing post-fight, a majority of people do feel like Fury won. That's got to be at least some cold comfort. They doubted him in that he could come back and perform this way. Forget about winning. Just perform and represent himself well. They doubted you as well for entirely different reasons. You weren't experienced enough. You didn't have the type of skills that it would take to bring a guy like Tyson Fury back. What was it like, at least for you, when the final bell rung? Did you feel like you had accomplished those goals and proven maybe to everyone else or to yourself that you were the quality man for the moment?
I'm very confident in my own abilities, and you don't work with numerous world champions if you're not got something about you. But I'm not in this job for what I reap out of it. My job is to bring the best out of the fighters, and if you do that, you're doing a good job, and other, your own rewards and success will come along with that. I feel like I've done that with Tyson. We done that together collectively as a team. When the final bell rang, I was damn near sure that we'd won. So obviously I was very happy at that moment.
Turning our attention to what happened in the ring, obviously you've said many times, even in this interview, that you felt like you won. But during the fight, were there moments when you felt like Tyson was in danger? Obviously, after a knockdown, the guy's always in danger. But it was one of these fights where you knew at any moment the big bomb could come, and you know that scoring and judging is not predictable. So kind of take me through the course of the fight from the corner's perspective.
Yeah, of course. Look, we knew even taking this fight that Deontay's a formidable challenge, and I think Tyson deserves credit because people make comebacks. People make comebacks and they might win a version of a world title or they might win a vacant title. Tyson's come out of what everybody knows he's come out of and took on the most dangerous man in world boxing and won. You know, who does that? Who has done that? I know Muhammad Ali, fantastic comeback. He lost his first fight against Frazier, then went and won the title back. George Foreman, with his comeback, took 18 fights to win the title back. Tyson's come back, had 2 warm-up fights to get some weight off, and went and fought Deontay Wilder, the most dangerous man in world boxing. And like I said, feel like we won. It's an unbelievable achievement. Deontay was a dangerous man. Obviously, in the corner, we knew it was dangerous, but we had a game plan. We knew what we needed to do. Tyson was sticking with that. It's very important that he didn't get greedy, get complacent, which at times he may have. But this is only the start of the journey. It's 12 months into our journey together, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more along the road.
You mentioned Ali, you mentioned Foreman, giants in the sport, legends in the game. Do you feel like this fight and what took Tyson to get to this fight puts him in that category, or does he need to win and actually get the victory to be put in the same breath and sentence as guys like those men?
Well, that's not my decision. Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about why it's, not having justice and not having a fair result has put a dampener on it for us because of that exact reason, But I think that comeback will go down in history, and I think the world will always know that Tyson won that fight. The first person that I saw who I very highly respect was Paul Malignaggi after the fight, and I asked him how he got it. Very confident, but just confirming. He said to me, yep, 8-4. I looked at Floyd Mayweather and said, what have you got? He laughed at me for asking the question. He said, Tyson, laughing, saying, why are you even asking Tyson? Gennady Golovkin, Abel Sanchez, all had Tyson winning the fight, and like I said, I very highly respect Paul Malignaggi. I think he's a fair man. And he would have been the first man that I asked, which he was, and I think that explains it all, to be honest.
I know the fighter needs a rest, the trainer needs a rest as well, but the luxury of resting may be not as generous for you as it may be for him, and that you have to be at least thinking about it. Certainly not working towards yet, but thinking about the next fight. Like, how do you take a guy who did what he's done and didn't get what you guys consider to be justice? How do you make sure that your fighter is ready for that rematch, not just physically, but mentally, that he doesn't take a dip in depression, that he doesn't, get disillusioned by the sport, and that you can keep the guy that you had in the ring last night in camp coming back for whatever the next fight is?
Yeah, well, like I said to you earlier on, we've done a lot of work with weight loss, strength, conditioning, boxing. But the most important work that we've done is the mental and emotional work. He knows what he needs to do to remain happy. He knows what's put him in a good place mentally. He knows what he needs to do to keep that now. He knows how he wants to live his life. He knows what's important. And, I think it's important that Tyson gets to have a rest now.
And lastly, the Deontay Wilder camp at the press conference last night said that they've seen the best of Tyson Fury. And last night wasn't the best of Deontay Wilder. And when the rematch comes, they're assuming that it will, that this fight won't be nearly as tough, that Fury can't reproduce this performance, much less best it. What are your feelings about that? Do you need to fight better? And if so, how?
No, and this is the difference. And it's been the difference. And this is why Tyson's the better man than Deontay Wilder, because they always need to try and take confidence from something that's not true. How can Tyson have been his best after losing 10 stone? How can anybody? And 2 warm-up fights. He's had that now. He'll have a good rest, another training camp behind him. That's not the best Tyson Fury, let me assure you. I promise you that. Mark my words to God, that is not the best Tyson Fury. And if they're thinking that and they're bargaining on that, they'll be in trouble, because they thought that Tyson couldn't do that. They thought that, oh, he's come back, he's had 2 warm-up fights. And listen, fair play to Deontay, fair play to both men for taking the fight. But he made certain remarks from the very first press conference that I knew he thought Tyson wasn't at his best. And he's gone and done that. And if they think that's his best, they're only falling for the same mistake again. And Tyson won't make those silly mistakes that he made last night.
Well, I'll admit, I'm already in for the rematch. I can't wait to see if that was the best Tyson Fury. If there's a better one coming, that's going to be a phenomenal fight.